morning. Last time we have discussed the cross-component control, which is chapter 3. Chapter 4 is about the advanced component control, as I said. I will put that later. We will discuss the so-called motion planning first, before we get into the advanced component control methods. Okay? And so we have discussed the cross-component control already. And homework number 3 is already uploaded. It equals 2. So please download the homework number 3, which is due next Wednesday. Okay. And so today we will talk about motion planning. There are 3 parts for motion planning. The first part we will talk about the general integration, the idea, the concept of general integration. The second part is to introduce a special type of integration, which is called NURBS, non-rational, non-uniform rational B-spline. And finally, the final part of motion planning is about the acceleration and deceleration. In other words, the so-called velocity profile, the design of velocity profile. Okay, today let us first look at the concept of the general integration. And so we will introduce that, and we will discuss the so-called linear integration and circular integration. These two are the most common, but the simplest and most common. And then we discuss the so-called polynomial integration, followed by that we will introduce the so-called spline integration. Spline is related to polynomial. So, let us first look at what we mean by motion planning. Okay. And motion planning actually is to provide a command for the motion control. In other words, for control, we need a command to follow up. Meaning that the control is to make the system output follow some specific command, that is the motion control. Okay. So here we are talking about what is a command. What does the command come from? In other words, for example, you are given a machine tool in our lab. There's a machine tool. You want to do something. The job normally is given by, for example, by customer or by some requirement from some task. Okay. For example, we want to cut a circular path. So we need to generate the command for the machine so that the machine can follow the circular path. Okay. So the so-called integration motion planning is that we are given a task. We ask the machine, we want to ask the machine to complete such task. Such task involves the description of the motion that we require the machine to follow. Okay. So normally first, the command here for the machine tool, for example, usually is called G-call. G-call meaning that first you are given a set of space points. Okay? And we need to construct a curve using a set of 9 curved segment. Okay? And the curve is to fit a given space point. This process is what we call integration. I mean, let me explain this in more here's this. There are some component, for example, we want to produce. Okay? So, suppose this is a turbine blade, wind turbine, something like this. This is not wind turbine, this is the electrical frame. For wind turbine, there is a curved shape. Okay, something like this. It's like a curved shape. Like this. Okay, wind turbine. 风力发电，风力发电电源 wind turbine. Okay, it's something the shape of the wind is something like a curved shape. Okay, we want to produce such component. In other words, from a raw material, we need to cut to form this shape. So, how should we do? First of all, we need to be able to describe the shape, the geometry. We need to tell the machine what is the shape we want to achieve. What is the shape? So we need to be able to describe, to represent this shape. Okay. So there are many ways to do this. Okay. In the early days, how to describe this? Normally manually, by human being. We need to measure, we need to, to describe using a lot of points. A lot of points. We need to describe this point, the coordinate of this point, for example, is 1, 2, 3. This is a 1, 2, 3.5. This is maybe 1, 2.5, 3.6, something like that. We need to describe point by point. Nowadays, there are many ways, easier, automatically. For example, using scanning, laser scanning. You have a complete turbine blade, or you have a so-called CAD software. You can manually generate using a lot of software to generate a shape that fit into your requirement. Okay. So once you have that, for example, you have a laser scanning. Laser scanning will give you the so-called point cloud. Component. And then we use the laser scan. You can get a lot of point. Somehow you call it point cloud. Okay, a lot of points. Then you can put into the so-called software. Then we can generate the so-called G code. Okay. Actually, from here, there are some integration job is done here, some are not. For KK, normally we try to describe the component to the machine. And so you have a lot of point. You have a lot of point. And you need to make a sequence. There are a lot of points. You can do the machining this way, something like this. Or you can do the machining this way. Now, different ways of planning the machining sequence. Okay. You can either do this way, or you can do this way, or you can do this way. There are different ways. This is done by the so-called KK software. Then you have the so-called G code. G code basically tell you that from one point to another point, how you should go. You should go from this point to this point linearly, or you should go from this point to this point to this point in a circular pace. Okay, this is the so-called G code. Okay, so in other words, from point to the so-called G code is what we call integration, or more. Okay, or some further step from G code to the command for the machine. In other words, for example, voltage to motor. We need to provide a command. Command is the voltage to the motors. Okay. So all of these are what we call integration. We can call from here to here is what we call integration, including despite the geometry of the object. You want to do the machining and to provide the velocity profile and so on. All of these can be called integration. But some people call up to here is integration. The other is called acceleration. Anyway, there are different meanings. Different people make different meanings, but basically, integration is what we call the motion planning. It's the general concept. Okay. Okay, let me say something more. So that means usually you are given a set of points. You are given a set of points, and you are given that you need to follow the sequence like this. This is the first point, second point, third point, and so on. And once you have this point, you want to form a curve. Okay? That is following this point. So, from the points to the curve or the shape, we call it integration. Okay. So, from a given set of space points, this point normally we call it control points. We need to construct a curve using a set of curve segment or line segment. Okay? Okay? This process is called integration. Okay. Then we need to design the velocity profile along each constructed curve segment. This process is called acceleration deceleration, or you can call it velocity profile design. Okay. And then finally, we can distribute the time curve to each motion actions to combine to produce the time coordinates for the actuator, for the motors of each actions. Okay? So as I said, some people include this part as the so-called integration. Some people consider the geometry description as integration. Okay. So this can all be called integration. But some people distinguish between these two different tasks. Okay. The geometry description is called integration. The velocity profile is called acceleration deceleration. Okay. Okay. So, for example, given this point, the simplest way is connecting a linear curve from one point to another. This is the simplest so-called integration. Once you have an integration, you need to design the velocity along this curve. The velocity along this curve, for example, this is the beginning point. The velocity must be zero. The starting point, the velocity must be zero, right? And the ending point, the velocity must be zero as well, right? So, in between, what is the velocity? We can do acceleration to some constant speed, and then follow the constant speed, finally deceleration to zero. Something like this. But there are some corners. So normally during this corner you have to slow down. You have to slow down the speed. So there are some issues we need to consider for the velocity planning. This is what we will discuss later in this chapter. Okay. So, in other words, for this chapter, we are going to do is that we are given a set of points, space point. We want to form a curve using these points. Finally, once you have the curve, we want to design the velocity along the curve. Finally, you have a velocity along the curve, you can have the command or for each action. For example, suppose this is the 2 actions machine. Once you have the velocity along the curve, then you can have the command for x actions or y actions. Then you can provide this command to the machine, and the machine will form this curve, will follow this curve, the machine. Okay, this is the general idea. Okay. Okay, then I explain this term, interpolation. What this term means. From the English, inter means between. Polation is the pole and become the noun. Pole means the points or knots. So interpolation actually is between points. Between points. Okay. So any means of calculating a new point between two or more existing data points is called interpolation. Okay. So something like this. We are given another point. We want to determine between these 2 points how we should go. We should go a linear way or we should go a circular way. A circular path between this and this, or a linear path between this and this, or a polynomial path between this and this. So between points, we need to determine how we need to go between these 2 points. It's a linear or circular or polynomial. And this is what we call interpolation between points. Okay. Between 12 points, between points is what we call interpolation. The requirement of interpolation, first of all, accuracy. Accuracy. As close to the design point or the design path as possible. This is a little vague, not so clear. What we mean by accuracy. For example, I just said a curved shape we want to compute. So there are different levels of errors. A curved shape we want to achieve. Suppose we use a scan. Scanning actually, laser scanning itself has some errors. Okay. But that errors should be very, very small. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. Okay. And so we will take that point as the design one, okay, the scanning point. We will consider that to be the design one. But actually the design one is this. It's the original sample. The sample we have. Okay. So you need to be able to, in other words, the so-called accuracy, you need to have some standard. What is the actual points you want to meet? Okay. In other words, which are the points? We call it design points or design phase. We need to determine accuracy meaning that you can start design one. You want to be as close to the design one as possible. This is the first accuracy for the operation. And smoothness, meaning that the whole curve in whole graph, it can be differentiable up to some orders. It's smooth. In other words, the change of curvature is as small as possible. Okay. So why do we want to have a small change in curvature? Because in such a way, the motion system can follow the curve easily. If you have a large curvature, like a U-turn, you like driving a car. When you are driving a car, you want to make a U-turn, guys. You must slow down, otherwise it's easily to get into some trouble, accident or something. Right? You need to make a U-turn. So we hope that the motion system can follow the curve easily. Okay. Finally, the integration needs to be as simple as possible so that it can be easy to calculate. Otherwise, if you need to spend a lot of complicated algorithms to do the integration, it's not easy to get the so-called real time. Okay. So it is not good. Okay? In other words, for this requirement, we can say that, remember, interpolation is what we call motion planning. We want to provide a command to the machine. Okay? And the requirement basically is that we want to have high speed, high accuracy. These are the basic requirements. We hope that the test can be followed as quickly as possible and to be as accurate as possible. Okay. So in other words, we hope that now this point, this starting point to the ending point, we want to follow this test as fast as possible. And at the same time, as accurate as possible. Okay. As accurate as possible. Okay. So, and remember, the so-called accurate is that the output, the actual machine. The actual machine can follow the test as fast as possible and as accurate as possible. If you have a corner like this, for example, if you have a corner like this, the actual machine, you ask the actual machine to follow this. Actually, for such, this is not smooth. Linear. This is linear, this is not smooth. You ask the machine to follow this kind of corner, it cannot be very accurate. Because for the corner, normally you need to have a big speed change. The direction of the speed needs to change very rapid, very sudden. It's not easy. Okay? So that's why we hope the whole test can be smooth. That's why we have this quite smooth. If you have a smooth path, then the machine can, generate the output of the system can be more easy to follow such paths in a quick way, in a fast way. So the general requirement for the integration is accuracy, smoothness, and easy to compute, as simple as possible. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay. So, first of all, how to represent a curve? As I said, the first step is that we need to be able to describe the object we want to do the machining, right? So we need to be able to describe the curve. Because the machine can only do curve by curve, so that it can form a surface and so on. So we need to tell the machine what is the curve you need to follow. So we need to be able to represent the curve we want to do the machining. Okay. So representation of a curve is the first step to the so-called integration. There are in general two different ways to represent a curve. Okay? One is what we call parametric form. Another is what we call non-parametric. So parametric representation or non-parametric representation. Okay? Parametric form meaning that we use a parameter to represent the coordinates on the curve. I forgot the original curve. Okay. So this is a curve. Okay. Suppose this is a curve. Okay. And this is in the space, 3 dimensions. So this point has the coordinate x, y, z. This one. Every point on the curve has a coordinate x, y, z. Right? X, y, z. And so a curve is always 1 dimension. So you can always use 1 parameters to represent this curve. 3 parameters. So here we use t. So the points on the curve can all, in other words, coordinate along the curve. Each point can be represented by a parametric function, s, t, y, t, z, t. T is a parameter. Okay? In other words, suppose this point, each point we have a SYD coordinate. Okay? So along this curve, the x can be written as a function of that parameter. Y can be written as a function of the same parameter. In this way, we can describe a path. So, for example, a circular path. we use two dimensions as the example. Two-dimensional case. Okay? I can use xt to be and suppose this the radius is 2, example. 2 sine t. When t is 2 sine t. Then when t is 0 is here. Okay. When t is 1 will be here. When t is pi over 2, when t is pi over 2 is here. When t is pi is here. This is pi over 2. This is pi. And so on. So the case is like this. When t is 0 is here, right? When t is 0 is here. When t is 1 is somewhere here. When t is pi over 2, about 1.57 is here. When t is pi is here, and so on. Right? So this is a parametric way to represent this curve. Analytical form. So this R is what we call condition vector. This condition vector with 3 components: S component, Y component, G component. You can write this one. Each component is a function of a parameter. A function of a parameter. Okay. And actually, for the same curve, you have different parameters. For example, for the same curve, you can have different parameter function. There are infinite many ways to use a parameter to represent the same curve. For example, here, S of t can be 2 cosine t, 2 sine. Right? These two parameters will also form the same curve. Right? And you can also write this way. And t. And write t is okay. This parameter can also form this part, the upper part. The upper part. Okay. For t, okay. Actually, it is t should be here. Sorry. And t is 0. So for this parameter, you will represent this part. Sorry, 0 to 0. X is 0. Then x all represent this way. When x is 0, y is 2. When x is 2, okay, this way. So it will represent it will present this part. Okay. It will present this part. Okay. Right. So for the same curve, you may have even many parameter functions to represent the same curve. Okay. This is the so-called geometric form. Geometric form to represent a curve. Another way is the so-called non-geometric form. Non-geometric form is that we represent the curve by the relationship between the component, the coordinate, the function, the function between the coordinate, using the relationship between the coordinate to represent curve. There are two different ways for non-geometric form. One is the explicit form, another is implicit form. For example, for a three-dimensional curve, you can write this way. Three-dimensional curve. In a three-dimensional, one algebra equation represents a surface. Another algebra equation represents another surface. The intersection of these two surfaces is a curve. Okay. And this is how we call it explicit form. The one coordinate can represent as function of another coordinate. Okay. And implicit form is that you can have two different algebra equations relating the x and y and z. Okay. For example, for this circular case, the implicit form is s squared plus l squared equals 4. Right. This is the relationship between x and y is like this. On the curve, s, y has this relationship. Okay. And explicit form you can write y equals 4 minus x squared. Okay. Or more completely, you can write this way. In a two different range. This is equal to y. This is equal to y. Two different range. This part is called right part. Okay. This part is called the lower part. So we have a explicit form and we have increasing form. Sorry, this is increasing form. This is increasing form. Explicit. In other words, you represent, you express one coordinate as a function of another coordinate. This is explicit. Implicit that is that you represent a relationship between two coordinates. Okay. Elementary form and non-elementary form. Any questions? This is this table is taken from the commercial CNC controller Siemens A440. They provided linear and circular information. For the G core, it's called G1, and G2, G3 is for circular. G1 is for linear, from one point to another point. G2 and G3 is circular. G2 is in the clockwise. G3 is in the counterclockwise. Okay. And there's another one, CIP. It's a circle through points. In other words, circular integration through the intermediate point. You have to go into the point. And they also provide so-called spline integration, including the so-called ABC spline, A spline, B spline, and C spline. Okay. Finally, they also provide polynomial integration, poly. These are the common integration provided by the commercial CNC controller. This is Siemens A440. Okay. So let us talk about this common integration one by one. Linear integration. Linear integration is the simplest one. We simply connect every two adjacent control points by lines. This point and this point connect them by a straight line. So it's something like this. Okay. This is a non-parametric representation. In other words, you do not use parameter. You do not use parameter to represent the linear case or the form case. You simply connect this point to that point. Okay. So, and this integration of this is quite simple. It's very easy and can be computed easily and quickly. Right? As long as you are given this point, it's quite easy to connect these 2 points. Okay. And there may be large errors compared to the design case. Okay. And the resulting case is not smooth. As you can see, it's not smooth. Okay. It's not smooth enough. Okay. Here, the so-called large error is the design case, meaning that the actual case, like here, when you do the scanning, this is a curve actually. But although you have another point, maybe 100 points along this curve, now 100 points. So each point is very close to each other. So we can use a small line segment. However, the actual design one is something like this. Not necessarily on the linear line. It's a little curve between the 2 points. So there may be large areas from the actual one. Circular integration. Circular integration is that every 3 points you can form a circle. Every 3 points you can form a circle. For example, 1, 2, 3 is a big circle. 1, 2, 3 is a big circle, and so on. So you can do the circular integration like this. Okay. Another circular integration is different one. What I just introduced is this, so-called 2 points, circle 2 points. In other words, every 3 points you can find radius, right? When we were in high school mathematics tell us every 3 points you can determine one radius, right? You can do by center perpendicular curve. And this one you can find the center point. Okay. And for G2 and G3, they just give you 2 points. From one point to another point is from one point to another point, you want to have a circle. So for G2 and G3, we will specify the radius. Circular integration. G02. Something equal like x, something x, for example, x1, y2, something like this. And if you have a comment, if you have a G code like this, suppose the previous point is 0, x0, y0, then x1, y2 is here. This is the second point. This R1 means the radius is 1. So, and G02 means in a clockwise sense. So it's the resulting point, the resulting curve will be a radius passing through this point, from this point to this point, follow in a clockwise with radius 1. The radius from this point to this point follow a circular arc. With radius 1. Okay, with radius 1. if you have a G03, that would be counterclockwise. You will follow this way. Counterclockwise. So the center will be this side. And it will follow this. If this is G3, okay, for the same point. So, and here is so-called CIP, circle through points. We go through this point. Okay. Sometimes people can also use a circular path to approximate the desired path by arcs. In other words, it is not necessary passing through this point. It's close to this point, but we can use. In other words, not necessarily 3 points only. You can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 points. We want to form a circular path. 5 points to form a circular path. So in other words, it may not be able to pass through all 5 points. But you can have a approximation. So it could be something like this. Okay, this 5 point, you want to find a circular path. This circular path may not pass through all of the 5 points, but it's close to them. Circular can also be computed easily and quickly. So it's quite common. Okay? And sometimes the circular and the linear path, they are used together. Okay? And the resulting path is more smooth than this one. Okay. This one is smoother than this one. Okay. Because during the connection point, it's possible to make the information. Okay. And next, for the polynomial integration. Again, there are 2 different polynomial integrations. One is the non-parametric polynomial integration. Another is parametric. Let us look at this first. Okay. Non-parametric polynomial integration is that we connect all points by a polynomial of certain degree. Okay. And for example, the expression type is represent y as polynomial function of x. Y as the polynomial function of x. The expression way is write a polynomial in both x and y. Okay. So for example, like this. Like this, you have this point. And you write as for example, this is this way because the y is a function of x in the polynomial. In the polynomial way. Okay. And this one is that you write S and Y relationship as a polynomial. Okay. This is a so-called polynomial integration. Okay. How do we do this? You can do this by linear algebra. For example, if you have a given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you are given 6 points, then you can have up to 6 parameters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can have up to 6 parameters to form the integration. The way is like this. You are given, let me use up to S6, I6. Let me use this as an example. And we want to find A1 S A1. We want to find fit data. So how can you do this? You just plug in each data point to the equation. So y1 will be equal to a0 plus a1 plus 1. And so on. a5 is 1, 6. y2 the same. Right. You simply plug in each point into the equation. And then sum. There are 6 points, so you get 6 equations. 6 equation is 6 unknown. A0, A1, up to A5, 6 unknown. So you can solve for A0 for the coefficient up to A5. Right. This is the coefficient. The standard coefficient equation. So you can get 1 S1 up to S1 so we can do 5, 6, only 5. Only 5, 6, 5. It's 2, 5. 1 is 6. 6, 5. A0, A1, A is 1. Cos Y1, Y2, Y6. Right? and ax equal to b in this linear equation form. Then you can solve the condition. Similarly, for the implicit form, you can also do similar way. You just put the data. You put the data S1, Y1, you get one equation. And S2, Y2, put it to here, you get second equation. And finally, up to S6, Y6, you get another equation. So you also have 6 equations in 6 unknowns. A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Here, the constant is always putting 1. Because if you have a A0 here, you can divide it all of them by A0. Okay. However, if the curve passes through the region, that means if the constant term is 0, then you can make this 1. So dividing all of them by A1, something like that. So you can have one more additional term, or one more additional term. So this is what we call polynomial integration, trigonometric polynomial integration. Such integration, the degree of the polynomial is determined by the number of points you have, which is the same number of coefficients. The number of unknown coefficients will be the same number as the number of points you have. Okay. The resulting test is very smooth because you can see it's polynomial. You can differentiate it up to any order. Okay. But there are some questions, some issues, some problems. One is when the number of control points increases, the polynomial degree increases and acceleration of the curve becomes very worse. The so-called acceleration of curve is the variation of curvature, something like that. In order to pass through all the points, sometimes you need to have like this. You cannot have like this. You cannot have a curve like this. Because actually, as you can see, it looks like this is more smooth. Smooth is a smoother, right? Going this way is smoother. But because you use the polynomial and you want to pass through all of the points, that will end up with some very, very strange curvatures in order to pass it through all the points. This is a limitation of the polynomial integration here. Okay. Another way is what we call parametric polynomial integration. Parametric polynomial meaning that each coordinate of the curve is a function of a parameter. Here we call it p, small p here, a parameter. And these functions of parameter are all polynomial. So here the polynomial is a polynomial function of parameter. Here the polynomial is a polynomial function of coordinates. Okay. So that is the difference. This is a polynomial of parameters. Okay. So S is function of polynomial function of P. Y is polynomial function of P. Okay. And this can be generalized to the so-called rational polynomial function. In other words, both S and Y are rational polynomial of a parameter. They have the same denominator, but different numerator. Okay. So this is polynomial of P, polynomial P, polynomial P, polynomial P. This is what we call rational polynomial. Rational. Okay. This is an example by Siemens. The key code is quite not so straightforward here. Okay. It's here Y is a linear and S is what we call square. So it's something like this. You need to see this. The beginning point is from S0 is from the previous one. So the beginning point is S0, Y0. And the second part is that the end point is 2. Y is 2. X is 4 here. And here you have only 1. This is the end point. And that means this is a linear polynomial function. Okay, so it's something like this. So the original point is the ending point is X is 4, Y 2. Okay. X is 4, Y is 2. And so X and Y polynomial. Polynomial range. Polynomial range is up to 4. So it would be like this. It's a linear, so only P. And because the starting point is x0, y0, so the constant term is 0. Only the linear term. But when P is 4, y is 2, or the ending point is 2. So that means the coefficient must be 1/2. Okay. And for the S, the ending point is 4. Ending point is 4. And the ending point is 4 when P is 4. So it's so it is like P t squared and we have 0.25. So it's something like this. Y function and S function for polynomial. It's something like this. Now it's now you have y as function of p is a linear. S as function of p is a parabolic. Parabolic. And combination of them become this. It's also a polynomial. Okay, about actually. And this is what we call parametric polynomial integration. Okay. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, let us repeat. Remember, homework number 3 is uploaded already. This is in next week. Next week. Okay.